All right, welcome to tonight's show. So we're going to jump in and talk about BMNR over the last 40 days or so, dropping heavily and now bouncing back. What's happening? Secondly, we'll talk a little bit about Bitcoin, how Bitcoin has been oversold, and now it's bouncing back as well. And then we're going to look a little bit more into what's happening with Ethereum as well, and some data about what companies are buying BMNR and how the trend looks. So we're going to jump in. None of this is tax advice, financial advice, or legal advice. I'm in Florida. It's a beautiful sunset behind me, as you can see. And I'm going to jump in now and talk about BMNR. If you want to get my book, Money Game, go snag it down below. It's a great book. A lot of people are enjoying it. And also, if you would like to join our community, you can check out some of these cool testimonials that we have here in Money Game. We've got people, as you can see, this is a trade I made the other day, 1.4% at the end of the day because I didn't have a lot of time to trade. And then you can see my clients dusting me. This client here, Sam, closed up 2% again this morning on a trade. You've got Lisa closed on BMNR up 3%, MSTR up 2.6%, and then you got Brooks 8.67% in weekly gains on his trades this week. So I've got clients that are brand new to trading that are doing it every single day now and are winning or doing it when they can. And if you haven't learned it, you can get in the game. You get my book down below for free. And you can also get a video that comes with it for free on how we're trading and show you what we're doing. So I hope that serves you because I've got brand new people who've never done it before in their lives, and they're doing extremely well right now. Okay, so let's jump into the news, okay? So if you look at the chart, BMNR dropped a lot, obviously, down to, below $31. I mean, we went down as low as like 24 or 25. And it's recently rebounded back to like $33. It's been on a run for the last several days. But we know that Bitcoin and Ethereum also fell a lot. When big coins drop, BMNR usually drops too. Whole market's been shaky for 4 weeks, but we're starting to see some life, which has been nice. And if you take a look at BMNR overall, their ETH holdings are about 3,629 or 3,629,000. Bitcoin 192, 800 million in cash, and they own another 38 million of orbs. Okay, so their treasuries are around 11.2 billion. Now this is as of November 24th, so it's a little bit higher today because the market's gone up. But that's how much they've got in their treasury. So they're growing pretty fast. The treasure chest is worth 11 billion plus, and if you look at the velocity of their accumulation over the last so many months, they accumulate 26,272 ETH per day. And that's a huge amount of ETH purchases, okay? A huge amount, 275,000 ETH purchases at $2,900 ETH here is their potential with, they've got about 800 million sitting in cash. So if they could buy about 275,000 more ETH with the 800 million they have sitting in cash. But right now, they're accumulating on average 26,000 a day. Okay. So since July, they've been buying, again, I said 26,000 ETH every day. That's around 75 to 80 million of ETH daily. And no other company in the world is buying that much Ethereum every day. So if you've been following me for a little while, you'll see that I've been talking about BMNR for the last 4 months. And they still have plenty of money in their kitty to buy more Ethereum. And the alchemy of 5% obviously is their goal to own 5% of the supply. They own over 3% right now, and they are crushing it in terms of ETH accumulation. But we know the stock has gotten crushed over the last 40 days or so. So a lot of people ask, where does the 800 million in cash come from? Here's the simple answer. BitMine is one of the most traded stocks. So I trade it. I teach my community how to trade it. And so my community is learning on BMNR. Even people who don't want to hold BMNR long term, they're just trading it. They get in and they get out the same day. Those of us who hold BMNR, I hold it for the long run. So I trade it, I buy it, buy it. But I hold it long term. So It's a traded stock, and it's a great stock to trade. If you look at the volatility on it, it's like it's enormous potential. And as I've been saying in my videos, picking up shares at the bottom of the market through trading is an incredible way to increase your bag, increase your shares, because when the stock eventually goes back up, then the possibility to have higher gains is even better, because you're getting shares at the bottom of the market. And that's why I like trading, because you can pick up more shares. So it's ranked number 50 in the entire stock market for daily volume, and around 1.6 billion of BMNR gets traded each day. So now when you look at this is not a huge company comparatively, but they're the number 50 in the entire stock market for daily volume. People trade it a lot, so they can raise money using ATMs, like selling shares slowly over time. That's how they're picking up their 800 million cash. So they can buy more ETH whenever they want, which is a smart move. And in today's rate, they could, with $800 million, they could buy 275,000 more ETH, right? That's how well positioned this company is. So outstanding shares is around 384 million. And their official filings show they have that. And if you look at this number, it helps us calculate the value per share. So if you look at the value per share, you've got ETH units, about 3,629,000. You've got ETH price, $2,800. ETH holdings is about $10 billion here. Cash on hand is 800 million. You've got their Bitcoin, about 16 million. You've got their orbs at about 38 million. And so the net asset value is about $11 billion. And the shares outstanding is about 384 million. And then you've got net asset value per share is $28.69. And then the market price is $29.54. So their MNAV at that time on November 24th, it's higher now, it was about 1.03. All right. And then if they were to stake this amount of money, their staking would be about $304 million of cash flow per year. And so this is one of the things that makes BMNR very attractive, because eventually when they stake their Ethereum, when and if they do it, but it looks like they're going to do it, they're going to be a company that's cash flowing around 300 million a year. And the more ETH they get on the balance sheet, and the more they stake, that means their cash flows could go to 300 million a year, 600 million a year, 800 million a year, which makes it a super attractive company long term, which is why a lot of people are hot on BMNR. So when you divide, and we went through the math on this, all right, you divide their shares, 384 million, and you get the net asset value per share, which is $28.70. And so the stock was trading at $29.54. So the MNAV's 1.03. So the MNAV's low, and that's kind of the point. Right now, there's companies that are picking up BMNR. There's people that are buying BMNR. I have a client who bought more BMNR at $29 the other day, and people are scooping it up because of the overall strategy of the company to buy 5% of the ETH supply. And at the same time, their idea that they could stake that Ethereum and bring in 300 million a year, 400 million a year, 500 million a year or so, it becomes an incredibly interesting company, to say the least. And big investors are buying more BMNR. And that's just the game. If you look at the institutional ownership, there's about 23.5%. Total shares outstanding, 384 million. Total value of holdings, 2,000. I think that says 2,609 in terms of millions, but you got to put that in millions. So, so you look at this and look at this company, and it's just got more institutional ownership coming into the game. Which is, similar to MSTR. MSTR's got about 50% of institutional ownership. So you see more and more institutions are getting in the game and buying up BMNR, which is good. And you got 355 big investors that have increased their positions recently, and only 4 have decreased. So the total institutional shares is 90 million plus. So that's significant, and that's been growing in terms of institutional ownership. So if you take a look at the list here, we'll run down it and give you a better visual here. But you got Morgan Stanley owns BMNR. You got ARK Invest with Cathie Wood, BMNR, BlackRock, BMNR, Jane Street, BMNR, Citadel, BMNR, Vanguard, BMNR, JPMorgan, BMNR, Pantera Capital, BMNR. It's kind of funny how JPMorgan owns BMNR, isn't it? It's interesting. So when big players buy something heavily, it usually means they believe in it long term. and this is what we're seeing. And Ethereum and altcoins, obviously move inside of Bitcoin's world. So if you got Bitcoin going down, almost everything goes down too. And that's what we've seen over the last 45, 60 days, really. We've seen since the October 10th event, we've seen a crash in the market, and Bitcoin goes down, and all the rest of them follow, from Ethereum to BMNR to MSTR, etc. So fundamentals are still strong. We've had a nice reset recently with the market rebounding. Bitcoin hit a low of like 80,000. Now it's bounced back up as high as 92,000. So the fundamentals still look strong. Institutions are adopting crypto, as we know. Ethereum development is improving. You got BitMine. They keep buying Ethereum daily, and nothing important is really broken other than the October 10th glitch in the quote unquote matrix or software that can send a cascading liquidations of 19 billion. And we've been recovering from that ever since. So the only thing that's changed is the price, but that's what we care about, because as investors, we want the price going up. Technology has not changed, and the long-term trend has not changed. Bitcoin has pullbacks every cycle. So when you look at these types of pullbacks of 36%, close to 40%, are not stranger to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin over the last few years has dropped to 31%, another drop of 31%, recent drop of 36%. Totally normal. Bitcoin always does this. Then it moves higher later. And, not to mention that this didn't give everybody a scare recently, but, we're starting to see some recovery on it. Ethereum's had bigger drawdowns. So if you look at ETH, it's dropped 38%, 60%, 45%. It was the most recent one. ETH is more volatile than Bitcoin, which is why BMNR, which is leveraged on ETH, also moves up and down more. If ETH goes down 40%, BMNR can move the same or more. And we saw that recently. If ETH goes up 50%, BMNR can also move much higher. And we're seeing that right now, right? So that's just how leverage works. And, when you're playing the game with these companies that hold crypto on their treasury, like MSTRs or BMNRs, when it's good, it's good. And when it's not so good, it ain't so good. But for me, my outlook on these companies is 4 or 5 years. If they hit higher highs and hit my profit taking areas, I will take some profits. But ultimately, I have a longer term outlook on BMNR and MSTR and Bitcoin. So let's look at the past Ethereum crashes. You've got, if you look at ETH crashes, here's a graph of what took place over the years here. I'll break it down for you. So crash number 1, we had July 2024, ETH fell 38%. Then it bounced back 91% in 3 months. Big deal. Crash number 2, January to April 2025, ETH fell 60%. Then blasted up 260% in 4 months. Crash number 3 for Ethereum, October to November 2025, ETH fell 45%. This is the current one that we're looking at right now, the last 2 months. So it fell 45%. And based on the past, ETH usually rebounds within 3 to 4 months and often does 1 to 2x. That means ETH could easily climb back up to 4,800, 5,000 again, even potentially go higher. From where it is right now, 5,000 is what, like a 70% push up. So if ETH rebounds, BMNR rebounds too, because BMNR owns more than 3.6 million ETH. So let's talk about something important right now for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and BMNR, liquidity, right? So this chart shows how much water the world's banks are adding or draining. So when you look at central bank liquidity, using water as a metaphor, you have the European Central Bank, you have the Bank of Japan, you have the Federal Reserve. You take a look at these charts right here. And so you can see Federal Reserve, Bank of Japan, European Central Bank, and others. When the bars go above the line, banks are adding money. When the bars go below the line, the banks are pulling money out. So when you look above the line here, 2020, look during COVID, all these bars above the line, see that? Lots of liquidity being added. 2020, that was the COVID time. Now you look at 2025, bars below the line, but you see that it's shrinking, right? So basically what that means in English, when the bars go below the line, banks are pulling money out. When bars go above the line, banks are adding money. So what happened during COVID? If you look at the graph that I just showed you, the big spike, the whole world poured a huge amount of money into the system. And that's where you see the bars above the line. Bitcoin exploded, Ethereum exploded, stocks exploded. Why did crypto fall after that? Because in 2022, 2023, the banks started taking money out. Bitcoin fell, Ethereum fell, most markets fell. So what's happening right now, which is the good news, is central banks are slowing down their withdrawals. They're still below the line, but not as deeply as before. The draining is getting weaker. Okay. And guess what? Fed said that on December 1st, they're likely to end quantitative tightening. So they're ending the draining, right? Draining meaning, taking liquidity and money out of the economy. So that means less money being pulled out or stability. And soon, possibly money flowing back in. And so here's the latest polls recently in terms of the chance of a rate cut. Now, remember, like a week and a half ago, when we were looking at this, the idea of a rate cut was like the reverse, like 67% likely that we're not going to cut rates, and the likelihood very, very low. And now it's at 83% likelihood that we're going to cut rates. So, the market could have priced this in. December 1st, we're going to hear some things about quantitative tightening, which is next week. We're going to see what happens with the rate cuts, see if things get priced in. We'll see. That happens a lot of times where the market runs up and then it sells off. But we'll see what happens. But this is at least good news, because this was very, very bearish news before. And so the news is getting improved here, which looks good for crypto, right? 83% chance Fed cuts rates in December. Okay. So when rates go down, it's simple. This, companies can borrow money, investors take more risks, markets can grow, crypto can pump up. Okay. So lower rates equals more money flowing equals higher risk asset prices. And crypto, especially ETH, BMNR, is one of the biggest beneficiaries of this. So Bitcoin is back now in a strong buying zone. If you look at the depth ratio is positive, and all that means is that there's more buyers than sellers. So when you have a positive depth ratio, it means buyers are back in control. You got more buyers than sellers. So these are basically a list of buy and sell orders, and there are more buy orders than there are sell orders, which means the depth ratio is positive, and Coinbase is not pushing the price down anymore. So it's a good sign, because it means big buyers are waiting below the price. They want to scoop up cheap Bitcoin, and we're seeing that. Okay. That usually helps the price stop falling, and we're seeing that right now. We got a little bit of on-chain analysis here. Look at Bitcoin 90-day market versus the realized price. And you see that it's deeply oversold. So this is called the 90-day gradient oscillator. And right now it says Bitcoin is 1.27 levels below normal. This means it has fallen too much compared to its usual price. So basically, you got Bitcoin's usual price, and it's fallen below that. And that's a good sign for us right now. So whenever this number drops below -1, which it has, it usually marks the end of a correction. So it looks like we could be at the end of a correction. Often means that a bottom is forming. Okay. And you can see it in the charts right now. Like I'm trading, mostly on a daily basis now. My community is trading on a daily basis. And right now, you can see on the graphs and the charts, when you're trading, it's like the market's clearly going up. So this is an easy market to trade in if you're buying in and selling out. If you're not holding BMNR, like my community, some of them hold BMNR and trade it, and then some of them don't hold it. They just like to trade the stock. They buy in every day and they sell out, and they just pick up cash. So you can see right now that there's a correction coming in the market, where the last 40 days it was like sell off, sell off, sell off, and now you see the market's going back up, and it's more of a buyer's market right now. And if you look at the technical analysis in the graphs, which I look at every day, you can see it very, very, very clearly. Okay. If you want any more access on my trading strategy, you can get it down below with my book. Grab it for free. I created a video on how I trade on a daily basis. So if you want it, you can go snag it. It's totally free. So this is where we are right now. RSI, the relative strength index, is at a super rare level. RSI only this low 6 times in history. So an RSI basically means it's a measurement of how overbought or oversold things are. And it's been this low only 6 times. And guess what happened after all 6 times? Bitcoin pumped hard. So the whales, if you look, are buying like crazy. Whales are buying fast. And that's the biggest clue. The retail traders have been selling out of fear. I mean, come on, this was kind of like a mind scramble, even for people that have been in Bitcoin like me for the last almost 8 years. You started to look at what happened in the market recently, and anybody who's new to Bitcoin and new to any of these assets like BMNR, MSTR, people are just selling out if they're new to it because they don't understand it. And even the best of the best who've been doing it for years get freaked out. But like if somebody's new to it, the retail traders are just freaking out right now. And the whales are buying. So the buying is the strongest in the last 10 to 14 days. And when whales buy heavily during a dip, it means they believe something big is coming. If you look at the options market right now, it shows big money is bullish. So for December 26, 2025, this is some good data that James from Invest Answer shared the other day. The max pain price is $100,000. So options are heavily bullish here. So you got tons of call bets above $100,000 for December 26. So, which could mean that the sentiment is meaning that Bitcoin's going to climb back up there before the end of the year. Very few put bets below the current price. So the biggest bearish bet is only at $85,000. And now we've cleared that recently, going up to 92. Who knows what will happen next week, right? So big traders believe Bitcoin will be much higher next year, maybe even above $100,000. Clearly, those of us who have been holding it would be hoping for all-time highs in 2026 and going higher, because that's what everybody was expecting in October and November. And it didn't happen. We got faked out. Fear and greed index has been all over the place. Mostly it's been below 20 and went as low as 10, I think. Now I think it's back up a bit. But, extreme fear, people are panicking. Extreme greed, people are excited, right? So we were stuck at 10. Now we're higher up. And if you look at the ETF analysis, again, this is like as of earlier this week, 3 out of 5 days were positive. And so ETFs had a lot of red days. People were withdrawing money, but now it's shifting a little bit and it's going positive. So big traditional finance players are coming back in the game. And, Tom Lee says new highs by Christmas. Nobody saw it was going to come in October 10th. Tom Lee made some big predictions for the end of the year. Clearly, he had to eat crow and retract what he said. We all thought things were going to go up high at the end of the year, and they didn't. And so far, we're going to see what's going to happen in December. And things are still uncertain, unsettled for people right now. They don't know what's going to happen after you take such a big shock like October 10th when $19 billion was liquidated from the market. It's going to take some time for sentiment to come fully back and people to be certain about it again. But nonetheless, institutions are buying. Nonetheless, BMNR continues to buy. They're not stopping, right? They're buying Ethereum every single week. And they constantly buy. And that's his game plan. So Tom Lee says Bitcoin could hit a new all-time high by the end of the year. He talks a little bit about that. There's a nice video here you can watch. And hear what he says here.
Made some progress, but a year ago you also thought we'd hit 7,000 in the first half of this year. So what happened along the way, and I guess what might you think about in terms of impediments looking into 2026?
Yes, I mean we're almost through this year, and I'd say looking back, this was 5 years of history compressed into 1 year because we had a major bear market, the biggest tariff hikes ever, and that of course killed any hope of any 7,000 in the first half. But miraculously, stocks went into a waterfall decline and recovered every single point of that decline symmetrically. So it really speaks to the resilience. But I guess as we're thinking about next year, I bet you it's going to be very similar in the sense that we'll get a policy shock, maybe whether it's monetary or from the administration, it could lead to a big drawdown of 20% again. Yeah. But it's a replay of this year. And maybe we've now had 20% bear markets in 5 years. I mean, that's a lot of history compressed into a 5-year period. Now,
you mentioned obviously the confusion over the path for the Fed as contributing to this recent pullback, as well as some policy flux in there. What role did the violent shakeout in crypto have on all that? Because a week ago, that's all we were talking about was Bitcoin can't stop going down. The NASDAQ wants to follow it, or people are concerned about how that's going to knock other things loose in other financial assets. So it's stabilized, but it's not exactly sort of participating to the upside in this bounce.
Yes. So crypto had been a leading indicator for actually most of the last 5 years. But on October 10th, crypto had what I would call Armageddon, a flash event but it led to a liquidation that was never seen in the 15 years history of Bitcoin. About a third of the market makers went out of business that day. Almost 2 million accounts went to zero.
Yeah.
And it was because of a pricing error, what I would call a glitch. It led to what they call auto
you've definitely
deleveraging.
made that case that it definitely seems as if there was something in the kind of market maker functioning that got fouled. Yeah. Now, that being said, the reason you can have all those accounts auto-liquidated is because there were that many accounts with that much leverage that got Bitcoin up to where it was, above 120.
Yes.
Right? I mean, so it's not as if it happened in a vacuum.
Yeah. So in a way, it means crypto represents really a very precise measurement of risk appetite, because there's so much more leverage. And that got wiped out.
Right.
That last time it happened in 2022, it took 8 weeks before people sort of touch their toes back in. I think that's where we are. We're near a bottom. But now I don't think crypto leads. Crypto is lagging because it's really the AI that's going to be leading.
Okay, so basically that is kind of sidelined the idea of what, Bitcoin 150,000 you were thinking before?
Well, I think it's still very likely that Bitcoin's going to be above 100,000 before year end, and maybe even above one to a new high. So Bitcoin makes its moves in 10 days and every year. I think some of those best days are still going to happen before year end.
So there you have it. A little bit of action there from Tom Lee, talking about what he thinks is going to happen at the end of the year. We will see if it does. But anyway, it's good to hear what his perspective is now that things have changed a little bit. And that's it. So, BMNR to me has always been a good long-term play. I think the fact that a lot of financial institutions are moving on to the blockchain more and more all the time. And we're seeing this shift from the snail mail economy in finance to more of the email economy in terms of digital money, sending money at the speed of light, sending crypto at the speed of light. We're in a new world, and financial institutions are recognizing it. This is now an institutional game. And if you really look from years ago, if you look at take a look at this result, like we got Texas became the first U.S. state ever to buy Bitcoin for its savings. So Texas becomes first state to buy Bitcoin, investing $10 million into its strategic reserve. So if you look at this news, this was not happening years ago. And there's new things developing every day just to see like the bullishness of long-term effects of crypto in the marketplace. And so we didn't have this stuff 4 years ago. This was a retail game, and the amount of governments getting involved, the amount of institutions getting involved, you have states getting involved. It's fascinating just to see where crypto's going, and institutions are adopting it faster and faster. And so to think that we'll have a world in the future that won't be based on digital money, that won't be based on the blockchain, like it's definitely going to happen, and it's already happening. And I think Wall Street's recognized that. I think some of retail gets it, but a lot of retail's a little bit confused. And the institutions have finally woken up to what crypto is. So it's exciting where those apps are going to be developed in the future. Is it going to be on Ethereum? Is it going to be on Solana? It'll be on both. There'll be real world assets being tokenized on these different blockchains, and people will be able to move money at the speed of light. They'll be able to, buy stocks and sell stocks, and they'll be able to settle instantly. You'll be able to tokenize real estate and put it on the blockchain and have people buy, little small pieces of real estate, all kinds of different opportunities. And these things are already happening right now. It's not like a new futuristic thing of like, it's already happening. We already have real world assets that are tokenized. We already have companies like BlackRock that have money market funds that are on the blockchain. You have PayPal that has its own stable coin. You got JPMorgan that's on the blockchain. You have the Swift network, which moves like $11 trillion worth of business, and they're already testing, building things on the blockchain just because it's faster. So this is really about a technology superiority here going on. You have an old financial system that's extremely outdated, and now you have a new technology that's way, way, way faster and way more secure, and allows financial institutions to move across borders. So let's not forget that if you're a financial institution and you are restricted to your local area now, or your region of where you can do business, and now with the blockchain, you can cross borders, meaning internationally, and you can have customers all over the world now. this opens up a whole new ocean of money opportunity. And that's why financial institutions are interested in this. So that's why I believe long-term stocks like BMNR are going to be extreme winners. Stocks like MSTR over the long run are going to be extreme winners because they're the best. And nobody's going to catch MSTR and nobody's going to catch BMNR. So that's my belief in it. And again, if you look at the speed of financial institutions moving, it's relatively fast how they're moving right now. But remember, to get these things positioned and in place and a permanent part of their infrastructure takes time. Some of these institutions, government institutions, are still sending faxes today. I won't mention any names, but that they still send faxes. I mean, faxes are like 30 years old, man. Outdated. 40 years outdated, 50 years outdated. And so for entire old institutions to change their way of operating, it's going to take a little bit of time. So adoption will be, slowly in terms of full implementation, but it's happening. And so that's good news, and that's a good sign for crypto. So I'm excited. I'm very happy that we turned around and we bounced off 80,000 with Bitcoin, because that was scary for everybody. Nobody liked to see it. It was a very uncertain time. I think there's a little bit of confidence coming back in the market. So I hope it's doing well for you. I hope whatever you're doing, it's worked out for you, whether you've held strong over this time or who knows if you took profits, but I hope it's working out for you. And for me personally, just with MSTR, BMNR, and Bitcoin, I have a long-term time horizon on it. So I'm excited about them. I love the companies. That's why I continue to talk about BMNR. I still love MSTR. I hold all my MSTR shares. I've watched it go all the way up, all the way down, and I'll hold it as it goes all the way up again. So that's where I'm at. Hope it serves you. If you do want to get access to my book down below, you can grab it. It's called Money Game. It's free. And then there's a trading video on it, just to give you some reality on like what people are doing. I'm a big believer in being able to pick up shares when you're trading, and being able to like hold a stock like BMNR and pick up more shares of it. So if you've watched my videos before, you've heard me talk about the fact that I'm trying to get this wherever I'm sharing my screen with you right now. I'm trying to show it. But if you've heard me talk about it before, you've heard me share the idea that I like to trade and pick up shares at the bottom of the market, because when you have BMNR at $33 right now, and rather than just sitting there and waiting for the market to go up, my clients trade it and they pick up more shares. And so you can see that some of our clients have been doing extremely well. In fact, I'll stop sharing this and show you this here, but we've got some people that are doing very well. And you can see like huge wins that some of these people have been having. Like one of our guys, even during Bitcoin, he started trading with paper money, and he shorted Bitcoin and picked up 15% on a trade. You can see right here, Kent. And then we've had, I'll refresh this for you. We've also had, people like, show you here, Sam, who's still paper trading, but he's up 16% this week. So when people start trading, we have them trade with paper, so they learn how to do it, so they don't lose money. And I placed a trade the other day, 1.4%, because I wasn't in front of my desk. So I placed one at the end of the day. You got Sam here again. You got Lisa. She closed on BMNR up 3%, MSTR up 2.6% for going into the weekend. You have Brooks. He's with real money. He's trading, made 8.67% this week on his weekly gains. If you look at that, shows his entry points when he entered it and when he exited it. So yeah, it's a good skill to have, to learn how to trade. And rather than going with your feelings of how the markets are going, if you want to go with your some technical analysis and some skills to learn how the market moves and to win even when it's down. I fully believe that BMNR is going to go back up again, but I'm not waiting for that. So I'm trading and picking up more shares of the stocks that I trade, so that I'm not sitting here at the bottom waiting for it to rebound forever. And if I pick up more shares at the bottom, like if I pick up, 10 shares at the bottom and then BMNR doubles, obviously that's worth 20 shares. So if I was trading BMNR when it was $60, I'd pick up only so many shares at $60 because it buys less. But if I'm trading it down at 30 something dollars, I'm going to pick up a hell of a lot more shares. So now is like prime prime time trading mode at the bottom to pick up as many shares as possible. So if you want data on that, there's a free video down below. You can snag it. There's a free book down below. You can snag it and you can check it out. And if it serves you, hope you enjoy it. All right. Have a great rest of the day. Make sure that, you do your own research on this stuff and you get a lot of different viewpoints and lots of data on this. And then you make your own decision. Everybody's in a different position in their life. So do what's best for you and your family, and I hope you flourish and prosper, and see you at the end of the day. Okay? Have a good one. Cheers.